Hello. Thought I'd do a little bit more today. Not really sure what I really want to do today before I go to bed, really. And I thought I'd just do a little bit more. Just because. No reason. I like the lighting in the shadows, reflections in the water. Could go this way, or there seems to be a path over here. Crossroads. This way is flooded, the other way is... Well, yeah, seems to be something there. What is this? Sea Land Transportation Industries.
A crane to move materials around. The things that used to be possible.
Used to be. That's from the Golden Age, maybe? Don't know what happened if I go in there. Oh, didn't mean to get out the camera. Just
My
went
first
break.
time petting an animal. I think it went pretty well.
Goats. Okay. So, where we go? Guess I couldn't have gone that way then. Anyway, it had to be around by the goats. What happened here? Was this just the war or the aftermath, or did just no one come back here? It's close range. That's further back.
I heard that village was abandoned because of a mind disease. Not every community had someone like Dr. Fumio to perform cures.
So, that was a village on the side of the crane. And these cranes just left in disrepair. And the grass slows me down.
I cycled through landscapes, seeing them for the first and last time. I had no idea when I left my home how the season would end, or more importantly, how soon.
Oh, that's it. That's it for this place. Okay.
On a cold, damp day, I feel true loneliness for the first time. Nobody could have described with words how big this world is, how it goes and goes. I passed through it, where others passed before me.
a long journey, new page.
The blades turn, but I bet they don't generate any power. Probably just swirling the air around.
Yeah, I would imagine. What's up behind me then? Box gate. So this is where I came from. Down this way. What's over here? Why can't I enter? There is something there though. That. Else that I can find a way in? Ah, there's a broken down bit of fence. Let's see. I thought I might change the season by changing the landscape. Cut these down like trees. But that's not how a season changes.
This person wanted the season to change. Why?
There's a hole there. I could record this, but I don't know, it doesn't make much sense to record something like this. My friend talks about pictures a lot because he takes pictures on his camera, and he always talks about leading lines. And if you want to have a really good photo, it's good to have like a line that draws the eye into where you're shooting at. So like a line in the road, a crack in the pavement, a bridge that leads the focus into the object can do a lot to help like draw that person in and draw their focus in on the object that you're trying to view. So having a leading line is important in photos, and it just helps capture the picture a little better and draw that person into the capturing of the picture. Okay.
This structure dominates the landscape but wasn't made for it. It's for passing through, for moving elsewhere.
Yeah. Got something in the view here, sorry. I want to... There we go. Someone else wrote about changing the season here. Did they want to stop a war or what? Every line is dead. Every wire is cut. I hate this season.
They wanted the season to change because they were so alone.
Can we go a bit further out? What's further out? Rocks. No, not really. So it is pretty linear. I wondered if you could go a bit further out and explore, but it's pretty linear. I guess there's things that you can, like, miss, though. Yeah. Pretty good.
One melody is like me out here alone. I can't really live like this. Two voices is like me and my mom. We can survive, but eventually you need more. Three voices is complex as life is supposed to be. I could listen forever.
One voice, one tune. Alone in the wilderness can't last long. Two voices, a melody. Yeah. It's a harmony with survive a little while. Three voices, a community, a song can last a whole season.
They kept themselves company with music.
Okay. Need to do that. Come on. Am I stuck? No. Just a little lost. Okay. What we got now? I met a driver group that's building a community. I'm leaving with him. Goodbye to this lonesome place. Goodbye to the lonesome season.
Looks like they made it out of here. But what is this group?
Someone else came through here then. Maybe up top? Pretty wet outside. Maybe wait till the storm passes.
In the empty places, I found companionship in the tapes I recorded before leaving home. The elder told me the story of her life. I listened back to it, ready to note down anything that seemed important.
Ah. So I guess we're gonna get that story next.
Let's set the scene for the listener, whoever that might be. This is the elder speaking. We're sitting in the plaza, saying goodbye to a dear soul. We're here to see if there's anything useful in my mind that could help you on your trip. A century's worth of memories, dreams, fantasies, visions. Like a big, old, haunted library. When I die, this library will burn down. But which book should we check out first? I don't have all the answers, but I do feel the story of my life could help you understand what kind of world is out there. It's okay not to understand everything right away. The moment may pass before you've gotten a firm hold on it, but as long as you're there to witness it, to take it down in your journal, you, and others to come, will someday take the time to make sense of it all. First, I got old. That's an important step. Being an elder is all about how you react to strange events. The key is not to be surprised, but kind of frown, look serious, and say something like, "It begins." Never say, "I don't know."
Yeah.
Say, "We dive into a pool of uncertainty." I was born on the ocean. My mother and father worked on a cruise ship, the short-lived but glorious Watery Republics, floating cities. Most won their independence by the time I was born. How can I describe them? They were a jewel of the golden season, pleasure boats with a radical political program. The golden age was a time of flags, logos, mottos, mastheads. My mom taught me to read them. She was the ship's philosopher. My dad was a recycling engineer. Recycling on the ship was a matter of life and death.
Yeah, I would imagine
We had
so.
to get the most out of every object and watt of energy. These symbols and gestures were layered with meaning. There are signals in the way you might move your hands or close your eyes. Her job was to manage the symbols and their meanings. She designed the ship's flag, for example. Let me draw it for you. After the war, people were disgusted with groups and symbols. Keep an eye out on your trip. I bet you won't see a signal flag flying. Her name was Augusta Kale. I loved the way the ship would tilt and roll with the waves, especially as I fell asleep. It was so comforting. Picture me as a kid in bed, feeling the swaying of the ship. It was like being rocked to sleep as a baby.
Side note, I get incredibly seasick.
I loved exploring the ship too.
I remember once I was doing a crossing from Portsmouth to Calais, and it was wet. It was tipping it down with rain. We were waiting in that queue forever, so much so that the docks workers felt so sorry for us. They came round with bottles of Coke and drinks and anything just to because we were waiting for this ferry. It was the dead of night. We were about to board it, and we were waiting to board it for ages. And they just gave us a load of snacks in the car because we were just queuing. We couldn't go and go to the shops. We were queuing there. We were stuck there, and they came out with all these snacks and foods and beverages for us to drink. Obviously not anything alcoholic because we were all in our cars, but we got some Coke, and Mum gave us some Coke. Absolutely hammering it down. We got in and we had a cabin. We went straight to our cabin, and my mum said we had to sleep. And the entire crossing, I was slept next to the wall, and the wall kept trying to become the floor. It was the rocking of the ship. I was not terrified, but I was seasick. And the next day I was even more queasy, and we came out into France, and it was a brand new motorway, first one that was built on that side, brand new. So all the service stations were closed. There was none open. It was still being built, and eventually we stopped in some sort of lay-by because I kept telling my mum, I'm gonna be sick, I'm gonna be sick, I'm gonna be sick. finally she was like, all right, enough, and pulled in on her lay-by, and she said, well, are you gonna be? And she was just like, nah, stop talking immediately, because there I was running for the hedge while I'm throwing up in the hedge. And, just terrible, just awful, you know. Stomach was so queasy from the crossing. And then we got back in the car, we drove a few miles, and I felt better. I had some water, and that was good. My mum said, oh, it's warm in here. It's a warm car. That can't be helping your queasiness. Well, open the sunroof. Well, of course, because of all the water had collected in the top of the car. So as soon as the sunroof opened, all this water just rained down on her. She was soaked. She was driving soaked to the skin, and it just all washed over her. And she was soaked. I was sick, and you had nothing to do but laugh about it. And you look back and you laugh about it. And we remember how much of a situation it was, but we saw the funny side, and it was just a really nice a really nice trip other than that. But you remember the hard times more than you remember the good times sometimes, but as long as you can look back and laugh. Anyway, haven't talked about that in years. Jeez.
Wandering through the suites, the swimming pool, the game rooms, and oh, there were 2 dance halls. A large, elegant one and another one in the basement. A lot of my firsts were down there. My first dance, my first kiss, and so forth. Our ship was taken over in the early days of the war. That was the end of the watery republics. I heard the dance hall in the basement became a weapons cache. Took me half my life to say goodbye to the world I knew in my youth. Imagine me and my parents and everyone I knew being escorted off the ship by a company of soldiers.
Oh, wow.
And I'm thinking, I hope they don't make a mess of my room. I was embarrassed by the younger kids who were crying their eyes out. But they knew, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, the start of the war was a turning of seasons, and we had been warned the season was going to end. Oh, but we didn't understand the warning. You see, one night, along a coastline, we saw beautiful lights shimmering above the water. Later, we found out this was an ancient warning system. It hadn't been used in so long. We didn't know what it meant. We just thought, well, ain't that pretty?
Yeah. So it was the season.
We tried to stick together and camped out on the coast of the prismatic grounds. A kingdom of art and science. They got rich during the golden season. Everything that made them beloved before the wealth came. Passionate, uncompromising, self-obsessed, made them unbearable once they had power. Artists make terrible kings. Are you sure you want me to keep going? The story gets darker from here on. Okay,
We need to know.
Conditions in the camp were getting worse. My mom got lost in thought for long periods of time. She'd be completely still for hours, days even. We realized she caught, well, now we call it time misperception disorder. It's when you lose your ability to tell how much time is passing. A minute can feel like an hour. A day can pass in 10 seconds.
Wow.
What's so hard is the feeling of absolute loneliness. Normally, we're all at least roughly in the same flow of time. But with this disorder, you walk alone, truly. We heard about a traveling doctor who could cure these kinds of diseases. I decided to go find him. I found out his name was Dr. Fumio, and he traveled with his son Lucio. People talked about him like he was a god. The prismatic grounds had roped almost everyone into their system until they reached the far wastes and heard no for the first time. Nobody reacted well. It got to the point of, neighborhood against neighborhood. Grievances had been buried so deeply we forgot they were there. It felt like things changed overnight. I'd pass through a city and hear later that they'd torn each other apart. I could not imagine it. I described my mom's condition to Dr. Fumio. He said there was no cure yet, but there was a village high in the mountains. He thought it was high enough he'd have a better chance at treatment. Lower places are more dangerous. Valleys are the worst. He invited me to join them in going to the village, but I wanted to go back and get my parents and bring them with me. Yes, our Caro village.
Yeah, the village harlot.
People thought it had been destroyed, or was a myth, but Lucio had a vision which showed us how to get here. I packed my things and got ready to leave the next morning. At night, my mom came to me in a dream. She was standing in a field of flowers. I'd grown since I last saw her. We were the same height. She pressed a finger hard into my palm. She taught me well. I knew the meaning of the gesture. I knew no matter what I did, I'd never see my parents again. In the morning, I told Dr. Fumio I would follow him to Caro village. The next few weeks were very physically tiring, hiking, climbing. And when we found the village, building, planting, cleaning, Fumio brought sick people from all over the world, and they got better. The treatments worked. Everyone was healing. So why couldn't I? One day, we got word the war was over. We never found out how it ended. It was like peace just swept over the earth in a split second. There was a party in the plaza to celebrate the end of the war, but I couldn't bring myself to go.
Yeah.
Yes, it was over, but it had taken my home, my family. That night, as I was falling asleep, I felt the bed tilt and sway gently,
Like you're on the ship again.
as if it was being tossed on the waves of the ocean, as if I was back in my bedroom on the ship, as if I was back in my mother's arms, being rocked gently to sleep. I knew I was finally home, and nothing could hurt me.
Interesting story. Yes, artists would make for terrible kings.
I imagine coming upon a place as
self-respect.
hidden and singular as my own village. Eventually, I found
Self-respect.
myself circling a valley, looking for a way in.
Come down from the mountains now. Let's have a look. Oh, I can have a look at the sign. Historic yet optimistic. Home of 3 reliable gods.
This valley is asking people for a visit. I should oblige it.
Down there. See something spiky down there. A dam as well. Something in the distance, maybe a ship. So definitely had cars and trucks. I can see why in their village they kept out of the war, they wouldn't know what would have happened. That's a mystery to uncover. What happened at the end of the war that changed the season? I went to a dam like this a while back. There's a couple round by me. Some very nice places to visit in Wales. But yeah, I went with my friend who likes to take pictures. Freezing day. It was actually snowing that day, and there was snow everywhere. Just light and powdery, not too much. But we were careful with the speed on the car because we didn't want to slip. Nice, oh, it's foggy. It's a nice day. Nice day out, that one. Always nice to go out and have a see of the sights in your local area and chat. Just with friends. It's a nice day. No entry. Flood zone. Ah. Huh.
Oh,
Gather round the grey hand.
the valley. 1 second.
You stand home of three mindful gods. As you enter, try to imagine millions of pilgrims who passed under this gate before. They were born, they lived, and they died.
I'm not the first to do this, just the first in a long time.
Is that a strotophob? Yeah, what are they called? What is it? I love old gear like that. It's getting more and more rare. I had a camera, but it broke. Not that interesting of a story, I guess. What are you doing here? The whole thing, huh? You're young. You got time.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff are you recording?
Anything.
That's the way to do it, if you ask me. If anyone asked me, I mean. The valley would be a good place to use those tools. Too bad it's closed down. Let me finish up here, huh?
Okay. Interesting. See if we can just get these quickly. Interesting.
It seems like I'll have to wait for night to enter the shrine.
Hey,
Hey.
this was like a second home for a while. That was fun earlier when you showed up. And I was carrying the cardboard man. You were like, who are these guys?
My sort of people.
I've been pretty bored here.
I can see that.
You know, the valley's gonna be flooded soon. That's why nobody can go in there. The dam is falling apart.
Ah.
It's too old. There's
Okay.
nobody left who knows how to repair it. We're taking it down so we'll know when it'll collapse.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It gives us time to evacuate everyone. Greyhounders. We're a community organization. We do all kinds of fun stuff. Health clinics, mine sweeping, daycare, evacuations, weddings.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
We're new.
Okay.
It was supposed to be because we're helpful yet neutral. We
Huh.
took a vote and decided to change the name, though. We want
Okay.
something more friendly sounding. I'm excited to find out what it would be. We're trying to get new things going. But it's hard. The past really has a tight grip on people.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like a fair fight. So we're trying to, well, anyway. It's funny. I stood guard here for a week, and I've only seen greyhounds like myself, and valley people on their way out. But now I see you, and you're like a
Different person going in.
new element or something.
Yeah.
I've never met anyone doing what you're doing. And we greyhounds gotta support new things. So,
Gonna let me in?
I'm not supposed to let anyone in.
Ah.
How can I? Jeez. I think you should go down into the valley and take a look. Gonna try something here.
Okay.
Dang it. I was trying to wink. Well,
Uh,
you get the idea. Go on and put that old gear to use. You can take my map of the valley too. I don't need it anymore.
I guess not. Can we take your picture? I'd like to
I'll
take
be
your
down to pick
picture.
everyone up around midnight. See you then.
Okay. Can I take your picture? I like that guy. Kind of fumbling.
I met a greyhound. He let me into the valley. I think he wanted me to record what the greyhounds were up to. And he gave me a map.
Dig site. Assembly point. Valley entrance open at sunset.
The assembly point seemed like a good place to start.
Yeah. And then there's a few places to visit.
I wonder what he expects me to discover in the valley.
Stranger encounter. Please respect the residents. They are not actors or tourist guides, but hard-working folk and collect the trash. That makes sense.
I'll think about what kind of visitor I want to be.
Yeah. Something interesting over there. Like, what is that?
A skeletal version of the kind of billboard I saw earlier.
Okay. Interesting.
The elder said that people were exhausted by symbols after the war,
Yeah, and yet
but here
here
are a few hanging.
here are a few. Anything else? Greyhound, no. Okay. Makes sense, I suppose. They can't repair the dam, so they're gonna bring it down while they can. I think that happens in somewhere in my homeland in Wales. Oh, wow. It did, you know. Someone brought down a dam. I want all of it, but yeah, I'll take that. Didn't record the music boxes. Maybe should have done that. The elder. Else I can add that. Yeah, in the rain.
Time seems to pass differently around here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel so heavy and so light at the same time. I'm not really alone. I'm with myself. I'm with the earth.
Yeah, they flooded the valley, um, and there was a town in the valley. They evacuated the town first, obviously, and all you could see above the waterline was the spire. But because people kept going to visit it and swim in it and try and like get in it, it led to sadly a couple of deaths, and they had to demolish it. No longer there. Um, but remember what? Remember, you made it here, but we made here. Oh,
I am probably the last person that will ever be welcomed here by this sign.
all above will remain. All below will wash away.
The elder told me there is very little information about the years before 500.
No, it's okay. See, that's what I mean by leading lines. It's like from the bottom to the top, and it's in the very center of the frame. There's no distractions around it.
All above will remain. All below will wash away.
I like that one. Tap it. Yeah. Shrink it as well. No, that's not what I want. Scale. Scale. There we go. Okay. What's this? Ceremony of the Random Dead. A person is selected arbitrarily from the graveyard. A monk unearths memories of this person for all to enjoy. Every Saturday of the month, sunrise at the cemetery. Really?
I
Huh.
have wondered about the lives beneath unkept graves.
That's my bicycle. Oh, there it is. Kind of a morbid practice. I don't know if I like that. Yeah, this would be the graveyard. Maybe it is better to walk here. Okay, stop and listen. You might be surprised what a flower has to say. Don't be around
I
too
wonder
many
what
of
the
his
flowers have to say.
flowers. back up a little bit and just get a nice. I like that. Even if it's not leading lines especially, it's a nice one. Careful about too many flowers.
God of sleep, I've been gathering Harpic, and I've been gathering courage. If my big prayer is wrong, if it goes against divine will, please spare the people of this valley. We're so desperate for peace.
Memory told over and over again.
God of sleep, God of sleep,
I see we're exploring the valley. In there, can I? That's my. Where's my camera? There we are. Sorry.
These metal animals are looking up, expectantly.
I wanna zoom in. Is what I want to do, and I'm not doing that. Why am I not doing? Zoom R1. That's better.
All the rituals for the dead in my village require the body, so we couldn't perform them for my dad.
Wow.
But I can make my life a ritual for his memory.
Nice. Things
A green space. I feel memory in the air like pollen. It reminds me of a poem my dad was never able to finish. The first line was, "If you want to awaken the dead, just whisper."
Alright, let's get back on our bike. See if we can just pedal out of it. My steering needs leaves a lot to be desired, I will admit. Down here.
Our parents tried to get us to do graffiti. Make your mark. This is your home. It was such a chore, so nobody did it.
Wow.
These tourists weren't marking their home, though. They were just vandalizing a bench.
Yeah. Hungry eyes, empty stomachs. Local artist. Someone down there.
The people here are so weak.
I heard gunshots last night.
That was us. What is that?
Look at the pond, the water.
What is that pattern?
Should we run or something?
Something frightening happened in this memory. But what was it?
Can I go down to the water edge? I have a feeling that there's something over here. Might be wrong, but... No, nothing, just... stillness. Something over there, that's for certain. Do 4 photos over here. That leaves something else.
The people here are so weak.
I heard gunshots last night.
The people here are so weak.
Well, it's coming up to that time again. Nearly time to sign off. See if I can find one more thing before we go.
Will the last voice to cry out in the wilderness not even be human?
Well, that's nice. If nothing else, we got one last thing. Gotta be quicker about record and photograph. I feel like I might miss something if I'm not careful. So I'm gonna try and be better about that. It's triangle for photo, circle for record. Pretty sure. Yeah. Triangle for... Oh, triangle for record, square for camera. Ah. I'm gonna leave that up for a bit, I think. Alright. Focus. Zoom. Crouch. Angle up. Picture taken. well, this is where I stop for now. Can't go any further, not in this episode. We investigated the pond. Got some cool stuff going on there. Maybe we can do the pond a bit further because we're only on the one side of the pond. When we come to the other side, we'll be on something else. This will be the assembly point that I'm heading for. He circled the dig site, so something he wants us to see there, which will be interesting to go. And the temple is open at sunset, and I think right now it's sunrise. So we've got to go to the temple before the end of the day, really. Is it sunrise or is it sunset? I guess... I don't know, maybe it will be worth going there first just to check that we're not missing it, basically. And then we'll go to the rest of the valley after the fact. So yeah, kind of looking forward to this. So assembly point first, regardless of the fact. And then I think we're going to have to go to the right there and around up to the temple. And a lot to explore, a lot to see, and I'm looking forward to it. But we have run out of time for today. Still got to look about the Greyhounds as well. The Greyhounds I met. Assembly point seems a good place to start. So I guess in the next one we'll find out about the Greyhounds and what they're doing. There we go. And we'll find out what their deal is and why they're maybe ex-soldiers trying to like fit in with society and encourage peace. I don't know. We'll find out next time, I think. And I'll sign off there for today. Thank you very much for watching. I'm enjoying this game immensely at the moment. I hope you are too. And it's odd, it's conjuring up like old memories for me. It's got that melancholy sort of feel to it. I knew I'd like this game, and I am liking this game. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.